as expected. Sometimes you find that there are teething problems before the system gets rolling. There are a few challenges here and there, especially in the time of opening the stations. But within a general view, or on average, one would say that the process has not been unsuccessful. You would say it's been fairly successful, especially in Kiambu, because by percentage, at least I would say that 60 to 70% of the stations opened up fairly, in good time, and that would mean about maybe in about 8 or so sub-counties. There has been fair opening within time, about 7 a.m., 8 a.m. Certainly there are a few challenges here and there, which I believe those that have been given the responsibility are dealing with. One, there were some places where ballot papers had not arrived in good time for certain positions. Like there was a place in Githunguri where there was a bit of a problem with women reps ballot papers. In fact, then necessitating that balloting there or voting there be stopped. Right. I believe now that situation has been dealt with. We had some situations in places like in Rero. There were some areas where people are a bit anxious, right. And there was a bit of hullabaloo and a bit of people pushing, and because this is an election, and it's very competitive. Everybody wants to make sure that the best happens, and everybody wants to win.
Okay. But Senator, we've also seen the question about the voters register that is being used here. Yeah. Would you have an idea which one is being used? I believe what the party has done, it has adapted a register, that encompasses all the people as within the IBC, and I believe within the people that have registered within the party. I've seen it. I've just looked at it. I've not had time to flip through it, but by experience that when I've given my name within a minute, they were able to find my name on it. And I've also had an opportunity to speak to the people I've found around the polling station. There has not been massive complaints here. I am aware that in some places there were complaints that some people were turned away, though they had expected to come and vote. But eventually those that came, and maybe I could explain what I experienced in a place in Thika, where one voter had come out and indeed expressed concern that they went and they were turned away. But then when they called me, I told them, go to the next classroom. And then they went to the next one, and they found their name. You find that most times when you are voting in the general election and the IBC is conducting the elections, they try to organize the system in a way that you will go to vote alphabetically. They will be telling you, if you start here, then you find your name, if your name starts with this alphabet. Because this is a party nomination, and we had not gotten to that extent of organization. I think that's why there was a bit of anxiety. But does it bother you? Because the law talks about members of a political party who will participate in the party primaries. The National Elections Board chairman yesterday, Anthony Mora, indicated that the party will be using the register of members, not one that comes from IBC.
Well, first, and unless I'm not fully updated, there was a ruling by the court on how do you or which party registers are you going to use, and remember. The court then ruled that there should be no restrictions in people voting. But however, it is in the interest of the party for people to vote who really belong to the party, because that also gives the party strength, because in that way the will of the party is likely to be carried by people who have interest in it, as opposed to when everybody just comes in. And indeed, I would say at first we were also concerned as candidates, because when the gates are that wide open and anybody can vote as long as they're in the register. Originally, it would have been a concern that people who have other ulterior motives, maybe like to subdue candidates they deem to be strong, would have come out to vote, maybe with other ulterior motives. But I've seen the register, and I think because I've seen it's well headed, it's UDA register, and I found my name. I would not want to be speculative. Okay. I would want to be factual.
Do you have any concerns now?
Well, my concerns are just about the time when most of the polling stations that opened very late are going to close, because I've just been receiving calls, for example, like from places like Mwiki. Mwiki is one of the most densely populated area and a very high number of voters. They opened late, probably around noon. There's been the same scenario in other places like in Kahawa and Ndani, which is also highly populated. The question that I think we'll have to deal with is what time are those polling stations going to close, and yet there are very many people who are waiting to vote, and of course candidates are anxious that their supporters may not get an opportunity to vote. So I think that's, by the way, that's where I'm headed from here, and see how best we can work it out and ensure that finally we can have an election that is credible and one that can say they uphold the results by virtue of the process.
Thank you so much, Senator Kimani Wamatangi. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And all the best in whatever happens in the process.
Thank you very much.